Hello, Miss Major. Thank you for joining me on my Identify coaching session for my specialist degree.
Hello. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, so if you will look at the screen, you will see some of the objectives we will be talking about and discussing during our coaching session. So number one, we're going to discuss the current reality review observable data from the teacher's recorded lesson. So you got to record your lesson and you got to observe it.
Yes.
The second objective, me coaching, I'm going to help you identify a goal that you would like to reach or achieve.
Okay.
Number three, we're going to develop a student-focused goal that you choose, that you see fit for your class.
Okay.
And number four, we're going to identify a teaching tool or strategy to utilize or hit that goal.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So for my first standard for criterion one is to discuss observational data. So after watching the video of your lesson, what were some of your observations?
Well, I noticed it took a while. I was asking the kids what Africans might have been protesting because they were making a protest poster. And it kind of took a little while to get out of them what answer I was really looking for. So that I noticed that. But I did notice that I did have lots of kids volunteering to try to answer that question. So that was good. It wasn't all crickets.
Not all crickets?
No.
All right. Did you see anything else from watching the video?
Just me up there acting out a protester, what a protester would be doing. I had the stick in my hand, but
yeah, I remember that you modeled it for them to
yes,
get them to understand how.
Yeah, I was trying to get that emotion out of them because I mean it's a protest. You know, there's a lot of emotion behind the protest, so I was trying to get them to feel that energy.
All right. Yeah, and that definitely got the class kicked up and started. All right, what change would you want to see in the students based on what you observed?
I guess I just want to see more of them wanting to participate in that initial. There's just I had a few eager students that were always ready with answers, but I also did have a lot of students that were just waiting to be given information.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to you about a series of questions that are going to guide you to help you set up a goal and for your students, and then we can discuss teaching strategies to help you meet that goal. So number one, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst lesson you've taught and 10 being the absolute best, how would you rank that lesson?
6 or 7. I mean, I thought it was okay, especially once it got going. I mean, the kids were, like I said, it did take a little while to get them to where I wanted them to be because I kept asking what reason did Africans have to protest, and I wasn't getting the answers I was looking for right up front. They were saying they wanted things that they personally wanted to protest, and I had to keep redirecting. It's like, no, we're talking about things that we've learned in this class.
Yeah, specific things.
Yeah, so I mean, it took a while, but once they were working, I did get some great work out of them. So I mean, it wasn't a bad lesson. It took a little. I felt like I was spinning my wheels a little bit, but
yeah, the kids try to take it in their own direction. You got to keep trying to reel them back in.
Yes, so I would say 6 or 7.
Okay, excellent. All right, number 2, what pleased you most about the lesson?
I guess I really liked some of the products that the students were able to come up with. Some of them got really creative with their slogans for their protest posters. One of them I can remember off the top of my head was Kenya, get out of our country already.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
And I mean, so the play on words was really awesome.
That's pretty good.
So I liked the products that they were able to give me at the end.
Yeah, I like to do a lot of artistic projects as well. You know that, so I know that's my favorite part of it is getting those really creative, products from the kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 3, what would have to change to move this lesson closer to a 10?
I guess I would have liked to see, like I said, they came up with some good slogans and they came up with some good pictures, but I would have liked to see more emotion or passion behind their posters. And like I said, I mean, I know that they aren't really impassioned about European or African history, but I would like to see more of that, or maybe like a bigger poster or something that was just took that up a notch rather than just having it on paper.
Yeah, get them to buy into it, and yeah, sometimes it is challenging to get a good chunk of them to buy in, but a lot of times, there's always a few that are, why do we do this? And they just kind of struggle with getting going. But a lot of times once you get them going and they see how creative and cool something can be, then they buy in. But
Right.
getting them buy in right off the bat is challenging sometimes. All right. All right, number 4, what would your students be doing differently if your class was a 10?
Gosh. If it was a 10, they would be, like I said, more impassioned, maybe wanting to create bigger posters or wanting to go out and do a mock protest. Just kind of, like I said, bringing it up a notch, or
Like a real world experience?
yeah.
You could set up a protest in front of the school one day.
Yes.
I'm sure administration would appreciate that.
Having them act it out with themselves.
But that would be cool for them for sure. It would be a neat experience to get them out and doing something like that. All right, number 5, tell me more about what that would look like. Like you mentioned, a larger project, getting them more impassioned, having a real world experience.
Yeah.
Like if you were setting it up yourself with unlimited resources, what would you imagine that would look like?
I guess just getting, like I said, I mean, they would just did it on a piece of computer printer paper. So I'd like to see maybe on real posters, making it more real world, or even making things that they could put out on social media. And then getting more, I don't want them to be like activists over it, but just taking on that role and really getting into the history of it.
I gotcha. Let's move on to identifying a student-focused goal, our second criteria. Number 6, how would we measure the change that we were discussing? So if we did if we were, looking at your video and we saw the kids, how engaged they were, or, how long it took to get them engaged, what is a way to measure that you would like to see?
With the number of students that are raising their hand, or the number of students that are giving me answers, because sometimes it is the same 3 or 4 students. So I'd like to see more students volunteering answers. We could measure that.
Yeah, you normally get that pocket of the same students who like to jump in and answer everything, and everybody else just waits for them to give them the answers. Yeah. All right, number 7. Do you want this to be your goal for your class?
Yeah, I think so, because I do have that problem, like you just said, where it's the same 4, 5 students, and I would really like to pull that enthusiasm out from more of them.
So get more students to be engaged right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the time that comes with getting them confident enough to jump in and want to answer, maybe using some questioning strategies or things
Mhm.
like that might help as well as we move forward. All right. Great ideas. All right, number 8, if you could hit that goal, would it really matter to you?
I think so. I think it would, again, it would make it feel like it's not just the same kids. It would feel like it's more of a whole class engagement rather than those few in the front. But yeah, I think it would matter.
So any increase in engagement would be, that would be meaningful to you.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, obviously is.
Mhm.
That's our job, is to get these kids. All right. Number 9, what kind of teaching strategies can you use to hit this goal? Like what would be an ideal strategy you could think of or something you've used in the past that might help you reach it?
Something I think that maybe could have helped for this lesson, especially, is maybe giving them those questions on a little slip of paper first and having them all answer on their own first so that they had something in mind rather than trying to think off the cuff. That
Yeah,
might have been more helpful.
that's a good idea. What kind of technology would you be interested in possibly bringing in to kind of help with that to get them started?
Well, I've heard of Nearpod, and I've always been interested in using it. I've just never, but I
Mhm.
like the fact that Nearpod does have the options or the features where you can do a poll, you can ask like a quiz type question, and just kind of um, gauge their learning. You can
Mhm.
also, and then obviously they have to participate. That increases engagement because it gives them something to do rather than sit there and listen.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea because I know with Nearpod you can direct it or you can pass it over to the students to direct it, and you can have a class discussion, which you could kind of, for that lesson in particular, maybe they could throw some ideas back and forth in a discussion board about how to begin their protest posters, maybe.
Yeah, because isn't there a way for them to see other people's responses?
Uh-huh.
So if students aren't as comfortable speaking in front of the class, if they were to type their answer, and even I don't know if it comes up anonymously or not, but that's another thing is if their name wasn't tied to it, would they be more inclined to give an answer?
All right. That sounds awesome because I think Nearpod would be a great way to get them all to be engaged right off the bat. Number 10, how can we incorporate technology to hit your goal?
Okay, so we've been talking about Nearpod, right?
Mhm.
So like I said, if I want more engagement, then if I throw out a question for them to answer, like the question I was asking them, what reason did Africans have to protest? Instead of waiting for kids to raise their hand and answer, then it would all of them can answer, and I don't have to just call in one. We could, if there's a way to populate the screen with all of their answers, then that
Yeah.
would be a great way um, to get more engagement because you'd have tons of answers rather than just one student getting to answer at a time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to do that, or or you could pull up certain examples, especially if it's anonymous, and that makes them feel more comfortable to participate and answer. And you could just pull it up on the screen and be like, "This is a great example," and
Yeah,
they can feel confident in
right.
their answer. If they wanted to come forward and be like, "Yeah, I picked that," because they love being active in front of the classroom most of. All right, great job answering your questions. We're going to talk about identifying a teaching tool slash strategy or how we can incorporate that technology to hit your goal. I know you kind of already answered that question, but we want to try to base it on a peer's goal, which is powerful, easy, emotional, reachable, and student focused.
Okay.
So I know you kind of already answered this when you were talking about your Nearpod and using that technology to get the kids to buy in and get them emotional about about the activity that you're doing and stuff. But do you have anything else you might want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the lesson that I taught does kind of like I said, I want them to get emotional about this, and then but want something easy to incorporate,
Yeah.
because if it's too difficult for me, it's too difficult for them, and it just won't happen organically.
Yeah, and then you have too much, too many questions being asked and too many people like stalling to get started and stuff like that. So easy is always good, an easy way to implement something really engaging. And I
Yeah,
think Nearpod will be a great way to help you get that student engagement and increased engagement in your classroom.
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time and I look forward to us moving forward and getting to do our next section, which is our learn video.
Yes, I'm
And
excited.
and I thank you for everything and we will help you get these students engaged.